In this video, we're going to be presenting you a very late night special, and it's going to be a very quick one. We're going to get straight to the point and talk about this upcoming big snowstorm. Yesterday, we talked about the NAM model, which we will show in a moment. We also talked about the European model, which is what we're looking at now. And we talked about how the European model was a lot more conservative and the NAM model was a lot more aggressive. Well, we've seen the European model slowly but surely start to move more in a direction of what we're seeing from the NAM model. So we're seeing a colder, more snowier solution. Let's just walk through it. We're going to go over the simulated radar on both of these two models and then the total snowfall on both of these two models. And you can see this storm does begin to move through. And really when things get going is when we see a lot of this precipitation out ahead of the storm begin to develop. We're going to see a couple of low pressure systems develop along this. And which one is the primary low or the stronger one is really going to dictate a lot of this. We see those two lows now developing. Look at this sharp increase of the jet stream going straight up the coast. 1004 down here, 1006 up here. So far on this European model, we see this southern one winning out and being the stronger low. We also have a lot of snow already beginning to develop along the Appalachian Mountain Range there. Let's keep going. This is going to be by time we're taking a look at about 2 a.m. on Monday, December 11th. So around 24 hours from now, just a bit over. And we can see heavy snowfall developing for the entire Appalachian Mountain Range here, as you can see. From North Carolina all the way up through Vermont, we are seeing moderate to heavy snowfall, at least for the higher elevations. Keep in mind, now we have 1002 for this southern low and a 999 over Long Island here, making this the primary low now, the northernmost low. And this one to the south is a lot weaker. So we could expect to see more precipitation in this quadrant of the storm than in this one. I don't know why my pen just got so little, but it kind of worked out. So this northern larger circle here is the one where we're expecting to see more precipitation on this European model. And sure enough, look at this. We see the southern one really get choked out. Not a whole lot happening in here, so we're going to draw an X there. Still some snow showers and flurries here for the Appalachian Mountains, but really nothing much. The main story is going to be here for northeastern Pennsylvania into upstate New York, portions of the Berkshires there in Massachusetts and Connecticut, and even the Green Mountains there of Vermont is where we're seeing the heaviest snowfall at this point on this European model. And as we keep going, that snowfall lingers and eventually comes to an end, leaving behind it very, very cold air here for a lot of the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Now, the NAM model, similarly to yesterday, is a lot more amplified. Again, that European model solution was a lot closer to what we saw from this NAM model, but still pretty far off. 1002 down here for northern North Carolina, 1005 up here in southern New England. This is going to be the primary low as of now. This is going to be about 9 p.m. there on Sunday, December 10th, so tomorrow from the time I'm making this video. And by the time we're reaching about 2 a.m. here, we see a 993 over northeastern North Carolina and 1001 over here near Long Island, making the southern one still the primary low. So again, on this NAM model, we expect to see the main quadrant of precipitation in this southern area, and this northern one is really going to be a lot less active as of now. And for the entire Appalachian Mountain Range, we are seeing very heavy snowfall here. It's just as we move on a couple of hours after this, we really start to see this rain-snow line spread eastward here. Look at this line. So we're seeing areas like D.C., even areas in central Virginia, north-central North Carolina there. And look at the difference in the pressure. Just off of Virginia Beach, Virginia there, we have a 992 millibar low pressure center there. Very, very intense, and that one is the primary low still, as this one near Boston is a 999. So again, whereas the European model had the main area of precipitation up here as this low was the primary one, we don't see that in this solution. We see this 992 down here being the primary low, and we see a lot more over here in the southern area on this NAM model. So we're less than 24 hours from the onset of this storm, and we're seeing polar opposites here from our short range guidance and our long range guidance, or more medium range guidance, I should call it. Definitely going to be a nail biter here, to say the least. And look at this rain snow line by the time we're reaching about maybe 5 a.m. here. 989 millibar low pressure center to the south of Long Island, and 1001 up here on the northern one. So that northern one really gets choked out on this NAM model, and the southern one flourishes. That's obviously the complete opposite of what we just watched on the European model. And look at how much snowfall is occurring here for kind of the south. Matter of fact, we're seeing areas again near DC, Baltimore, Richmond, Virginia, getting awfully close to the Raleigh-Durham area there. This is an odd storm on this NAM model, and definitely a whole lot different than what we saw according to that European model. Now, this low peaks at about 7 or 8 a.m. here on Monday, December 11th, as a 985 millibar low pressure center offshore of New Jersey. Speaking of New Jersey, Philadelphia, Western Jersey, Delaware, all of Maryland basically at this point is seeing snowfall as a result of this storm. Very, very intense look. Definitely a lot further south and a lot further east with this snowfall, especially here throughout the mid-Atlantic. Certainly a very interesting look. And you might be wondering, how are these areas seeing snowfall while Boston, even New Hampshire and Maine are seeing rain? Well, areas to the north of that primary low have this warm front where the warm air is pushing on shore. And areas to the south have the cold front underneath the low where the cold air is filling in. So because of the location and the intensity of this low, areas to the southwest are seeing snow, and areas to the northeast are seeing rain. And it's tucked west enough to where eastern New England is really getting the raw end of this deal and seeing a lot of warm air make its way on shore. That is the science behind what's happening here with those frontal boundaries. As we keep going, we see this does eventually move northward. Look at this. Over the New Hampshire and Maine border, 975 millibar low pressure center, an intense storm. Cold front here, warm front all the way up here. So we still see this warm quadrant over Maine and Canada. And we're seeing heavy snowfall still for New York. Even New York City at this point, New Jersey, Philadelphia, eastern PA in general. There, and eventually this one just completely moves out, giving New England some back end snowfall. Let's go over the total snowfall amounts. I'm sure that's what all of you were kind of waiting for at this point. Your grays are going to be a dusting, if anything. Blues are 2 to 6 inches, purple 6 to 10, and then pinks are 10 to 20. So really south of New York State, it's pretty hard to even come by 6 to 10 inch amounts. Mostly we're seeing blues in here, which will be 2 to 6 inches, and some grays, including areas near Philadelphia and near Richmond, Virginia, and near DC, but you're maybe looking at an inch in those areas if you're lucky. Most likely a dusting according to this European model. As we move on to the NAM model, as you can see, a lot more pinks for these mountaintop locations, a lot more purples for sure, even some lower elevation areas seeing some purples in there, and certainly the areas that were in the grays, like Richmond, Virginia, DC, Baltimore perhaps, those areas are seeing more like 2 to 6 inches as opposed to the dusting, if anything, that we saw in the European model. Even the northernmost folks, like areas in northeastern Pennsylvania, the Catskills and Adirondacks of New York, and into the Green Mountains of Vermont, those are the areas that are really benefiting from this as far as snowfall. If you're in a ski resort location, or if you're hoping for snow, 10 to 20 inches in those pink areas, maybe even 20 inches plus there for the northern mountainous regions of Vermont. Certainly a very intense storm. Stark differences here between the medium range European model and the long range NAM model. I'm going to have a big video coming out a little bit earlier in the day tomorrow because I want to give you guys one last update on the final model runs that we have coming out for this storm. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well. Be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.